Why didn't the clam make any friends? Because he shot up his school.
Oh, you can't do that. That's too bad, girl. That's too bad,
was
girl.
it supposed to be because he couldn't open up?
Yes.
I'm going to show you how to make clam chowder. This is my version. I don't know what I don't know any of the different types, like Manhattan versus whatever else. It doesn't have cream, and I'm gonna give you like a keto carnivore friendly version. You can like take things out and omit things, so I'll point that out. Now, clams are perfect for keto carnivore because they're high protein, they have loads of zinc, magnesium, they are full of this micronutrient called selenium. Selenium is crucial for the function of cells, and 80% of it of your daily need can come from only 30 grams of a serving of clams. So it's not, clam chowder obviously isn't a Slav food or Slav dish, but because you're eating the whole animal, kind of still counts. So let's go through the ingredients. I'm gonna be using pork fat to fry on. You can use butter. 2 stalks of celery, cilantro, 1 yellow onion, 2 potatoes. You can omit these. If you do omit them, use an extra can of clams just to give it that bulk. These are the clams that I use. I use bumblebee baby clams. Some of the other types I tried were a little watery and tasteless, so I would stick with these. A couple of cloves of garlic, and I use 2 bottles of clam juice. Clam juice is used in Clamato in a Caesar, which is the Bloody Mary of Canada, and it's the only reason Canada is good. Let's start. Oh, and of course, you need my meat tea, my chicken broth from my first cooking video for the base of this. So if you haven't watched that and you haven't made it, you need to do that first. I'm gonna grab it out of the fridge. And yes, I'm a very pragmatic and practical person, so I've put it into this giant, ridiculous bowl. I made a lot. My husband drinks it cold straight from the fridge in Nalgene, so sometimes I go to make a soup and all my broth is gone. I should start just hiding it from him at the back of the fridge. Noted. Okay, so I don't know how much we'll need because you do everything else first and then you add it in at the end, and it just depends. If you want it thicker, more like a stew, add less. If you want more, add more. It's not, there's no hard line on that. So add your pork fat to your frying pan. I like to use, you can use like a taller you can use something like this, like a soup pan, but I like a wider one because you can see what's going on and everything fries up a little faster. So there's the pork fat, looks good. So the order you want to fry things in is potatoes first because they take the longest, then we're gonna do onions and celery, and then the garlic, and cilantro goes near the end of the cooking process. People just getting into cooking who don't know how to dice a potato, this is how I do it. So you cut it down the middle like this, okay? Not all the way so that it doesn't slide around. And then you cut it lengthwise. And there you go, a dice. So my pan should be ready. And no, I don't use this method, like where you do the claw. I don't use this method of cutting. I know that's the correct method, but I have fucking ass long nails and it hurts if I do that. So I'd rather just be more attentive and cut slower. So yeah, for those critics out there. All right, should be nice and hot. I like to brown my potatoes because diversity is our strength. I think I'm gonna actually use some butter as well. Don't be afraid to add more butter in any situation. I know that was like a Paula Deen moment, but since she's labeled as a racist now, a replacement is due. do that, I think. Forgot to mention, I love chili pepper and thyme in my clam chowder, so you can add those at any point. I reserve a little extra red chili at the end, so just so that my child can eat it. Like, he likes a little spicy, but obviously 3-year-old isn't gonna handle what I can. Okay. I add spices early on in the frying process because, you know, when you're using dry spices, it actually wakes them up. Adding them at the end won't give you the same depth of flavor. So another reason I use a stainless steel pan is, like, if you look at it, like, the browning on the bottom is much more effective. If you use a coated pan, they're created for that not to happen. But when you deglaze it with the clam juice, all that nice brown, you know, stuff gets put back into the soup. So I highly suggest using a stainless steel pan. Obviously, you want to add a lot of pepper. Okay, like, look, that's looking really pretty. Look at that stuff. Okay, so at this point, you can add the onions. Throw them in. It looks like a lot. It's a big onion, but it's gonna cook down. It'll sweat down, so don't worry. And you want to brown the onions a little bit as well. And then you can add the celery at the same time. I need to cut the second one. So again, this is how I cut my celery. I make 2 slits near the base because the base is way thicker. See, like, that just doesn't work for me because of my nails. Like, my nail will get cut off, so I just stay back. Okay. Celery doesn't have any nutritional properties, but I added for crunchiness, and it does have some flavor. It's a very subtle flavor, but I can tell if a broth had celery in it or not. So the flavor does come through. Lots of brown on the bottom. The potatoes are looking a little golden, so this is great. The balance here is not making all of the stuff too mushy, because, like, it's good to have a bit of crunch when you're eating it. You don't want like a stew. So yeah, just, I think that's good now. So first I add the clam juice and it'll deglaze the pan. It'll be great. Number 2. And then you want to open your clams. Okay, great. So that's what it looks like, and yes, keep the juice. More juice, always better. Great. Now, if you want to keep kosher, then don't make this meal. You know, some people like to brown their garlic. I actually think it's better to have it tasting a little bit fresh. So I just dice it up as fine as I can, and I put it in after I already put the liquid in. If that's not the flavor profile you enjoy, like you like a bit of that browned garlic taste, that's up to you. I'm not your dictator. Do not leave me angry comments disagreeing with me about taste. Okay, so there we go. That's fine, that's warming up. And I'm gonna add the broth. So you can warm it up just so it doesn't slow down the cooking process, but you don't have to. Like, you're not baking here, it'll turn out fine. You have to do something pretty egregious to screw it up. So I'm just putting in 3 ladles. Yep, that's soupy enough for me. You can make it more soupy if you like and add more. And of course, some salt. You may have noticed that I don't taste anything while I cook, and that's because I'm fully confident in my power. For the cilantro, I don't include too much of the stem. I just cut it like this. So the longer pieces will kind of shed easier, and then you gotta get to the middle if there's any leaves left. Yeah, I mean, there we go, that's fine. Don't stress over it. I don't add the cilantro all in at once. I wait about 15 minutes into the cooking time because it'll keep it a little more fresh tasting. And then I always save some chopped leaves for garnish. This cilantro, unfortunately, is not from my garden because we were recently forced to move right after I planted my entire garden. So I guess our landlords will enjoy that now. But it was a blessing in disguise because we are now homeowners and we have way more space, and in the future I will be doing videos completely from produce that I've grown myself from our garden and from the board that I shot. This has been cooking for about 30 minutes. You don't want to boil it or overcook it, just cook it on medium-low for under an hour, and that way it'll preserve the crunchiness of the vegetables. All right, that's what it looks like. Very pretty. And I like to add a little more pepper flakes. And here you go. We'll do a scorching hot taste test, I guess. All right, I'll just go for it. This is for all the perverts that like to watch me eat. Hot. Really good though. Perfectly seasoned. Great way to intro your kids to seafood because it's not overtly seafoody, yet they're getting the benefits of all the nutritional factors that are contained in shellfish specifically. My kid was eating clams on their own before the age of 1. He's not special, it's all up to the parents. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. Stay healthy, stay Slav. It's supposed to be lame, okay? I have a new cameraman. Doesn't understand our level of humor. Okay, bye.